We are big fans of the regular Taycan already here at Carbuyer, but now Porsche have introduced this, the Taycan Cross Turismo, which is basically a shorter, better name for the Taycan that is also an estate car and does a little bit of gentle off-roading. Now, with the introduction of this car, that now means that there are two electric estate cars currently on the market, this one and the MG5. Although, if you're going to consider the MG5, I very much doubt you're going to consider this one as well. So the question is an electric estate car better than an electric SUV? And is this Cross Turismo version worth the few extra £1,000 over the regular Taycan? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do you a deal. If you subscribe to the Carbuyer YouTube channel, click on the bell icon and tap like, then I'll tell you everything you need to know. I mean, I'm probably going to tell you anyway, because that's my job. So, but I would just really like it if you subscribed anyway, because that's just really, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, bye. For now, the Cross Turismo isn't available in the same entry-level rear-wheel drive spec as the Saloon, and all versions come with the bigger of the two Taycan batteries. As well as the extra boot space and additional headroom afforded by the higher roofline, the Cross Turismo has up to 30mm extra ground clearance, plus extra body cladding to protect it from dirt and gravel. Despite the extra bodywork and the car's already significant weight, it's impressive that the range and excellent performance of the regular Taycan are all but identical for the Cross Turismo. Now, the model that we have here is the 4S, which has 483 brake horsepower, or 563 if you're going to use launch control. So yeah, it is as quick in a straight line as you might expect. Officially, it takes 4.1 seconds to do 0 to 62, which let's test this out, because I've got a feeling it's a little bit quicker, you know. I mean, it feels a lot quicker when I did this earlier. Okay, we are at 0. Let's go to 62. Go! That feels quick, that feels quick, that feels quick. That feels quicker than 4.1. Big deal, I hear you say. Because a lot of electric cars are very quick in a straight line. We're used to that now. And yes, you're absolutely right. But that is not where the performance ends on this car. Because I don't think there is another electric car that is as satisfying to drive as this one. I mean, as the Porsche Taycan and this Cross Turismo version. I mean, traction on this is practically unbreakable. That's all thanks to the four-wheel drive system. It just means that the judgment of the steering and the suspension is absolutely perfect, that when you're taking corners quickly, you feel so confident when you're doing it. There's a nice bit of precision and weight to the steering. It's just brilliant. Now, if you are going to take a car off-road, then the Audi e-tron's probably a better bet, because that's actually an SUV. But on-road, this is your baby. This is the one. If you spend all of your time pootling around town, then you might be able to eke out the range to nearer 300 miles, but our test car officially claims 255 miles. There are Turbo and Turbo S versions of the Cross Turismo with maximum power outputs of 671 brake horsepower and 751 brake horsepower respectively, and their ranges will be slightly smaller still depending on options and how they're driven. The entry-level 4 model has 375 brake horsepower and a maximum range of around 280 miles. The good news to accompany these relatively small range figures is that the Taycan can be charged at up to 270 kilowatts. So, you know you'll always be able to use the quickest chargers when you can find them. A 10 to 80% charge is possible in around 20 minutes if you do. A full charge using an 11 kilowatt home wall box takes 9 hours. Now, this car also has the optional rear wheel steering, so it means when you're manoeuvring at slow speeds it makes it that little bit easier, but also it makes it feel more stable when you're taking corners quickly. Now, despite the awesome handling and the just brilliant body control, Porsche have also added softer suspension to the Cross Turismo version. Now, that is because, well, if you're the sort of person that wants to take this car down a track, across and over a field, then it's perfect for that. But that change also means that on-road, it just feels a lot smoother as well. It handles the lumps and bumps and the cracks and potholes and stuff a lot better. I mean, you can firm up the suspension if you really want to. You can just choose a sporty driving mode. Oh, talking of modes, this one, the Cross Turismo, has a mode that the regular Taycan doesn't have, which is gravel mode. It basically means that it handles the car really well when it's on a loose surface. So then what you do is you buy the bespoke bicycle rear carrier for 1,600 quid. Pop your mountain bike on there, put it on gravel mode, drive into a forest, and then go and do some mountain biking and say things like rad and gnarly and do things like this. That's what they do, right? Bikers, like mountain bikers. I don't cycle, so I don't know if that's the thing. Or this, is it this or this? That's rock and roll. That's rad biking. I don't know.
Talk of practicalities like bike racks leads us nicely onto the Cross Turismo's key selling point, which is the bigger boot. There's 446 litres of space, which is a very handy upgrade over the 366 litres in the saloon version of the Taycan. Fold the rear seats down and there's 1,212 litres to play with. You also get 84 litres of space in the frunk, otherwise known as the storage space underneath the bonnet.
Now, talking of sheer extra space, we have to mention the boot, because the Cross Turismo is just a lot easier to live with because it's got the hatchback boot opening rather than the saloon boot opening that the regular Taycan has. So it makes it a lot easier to get heavier and more awkward stuff inside the car. Plus, you've got some very handy things in here. You've got a couple of tether points, some elastic bits to hold things in place, little 12-volt socket there as well. Oh, and electrically powered, wouldn't you know? So this estate shape means it's a lot more comfortable back here for passengers. I mean, the regular Taycan is a bit of a faff to get into because of the sloping roofline, but in here it feels a lot roomy. It's not as claustrophobic. I've got a lot more headroom, a lot more knee room. I mean, getting my feet under the seat in front is still a bit of a faff, but generally this is a much more viable family car than the saloon version, because in that version you'd really just have small kids in the back, and not very often, let's be honest. Oh, and if you're going to opt for the panoramic sunroof, that's 1,100 quid, but totally worth it, because it makes everything feel a lot more airy and a lot more big, if you will. Oh, and when you buy the car, if you want the middle seat, let them know, because this seatbelt is going to cost you an extra 300 quid.
4 versions of the Cross Turismo are currently available, starting with the 4, then the 4S, then the Turbo, and then finally the Turbo S. Porsche has already launched a Sport Turismo model of the Taycan in a sporty GTS trim. It's virtually identical to the car we have here, except for the suspension and off-roadery trimmings. The Cross Turismo, in its cheapest form, starts at around £82,000, but comes with plenty of equipment as standard, including air suspension, 19-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, climate control, and Apple CarPlay. As you move up through the range, increasing amounts of optional equipment and upgrades are included into the price. And you'd hope so, given the flagship Turbo S costs an eye-watering £140,000. Head over to the Carbuyer website for more information on the trim levels.
Now, it's worth being very, very careful when it comes to the options, because it is so easy to just start ticking boxes and then all of a sudden you've got loads of options on the car and you've spent a lot more money. For example, this very lovely black and crayon leather, just under £3,000. The off-road design pack on the outside of the car, 1,500 quid. The 21-inch wheels, which look lovely, £3,000. All in all, this car has around £24,000 worth of optional extras, which is a lot of money. But it's such a lovely car! I mean, the interior is just gorgeous. They haven't changed much from the saloon version. I still love this curved screen for the digital dials, and then the lovely screen just down here for the infotainment system. And I'm not going to moan about the lack of twiddly-doos and stuff, because yeah, it's a touchscreen for climate controls, but it's really satisfying to press. It kind of feels like buttons anyway. Oh, even the passenger gets a screen, which is another optional extra. Very expensive one at that, but still kind of cool. These seats are very, very comfy. Steering wheel feels really nice. I'm a very big fan of the driving position in Porsches. I mean, this just feels so great. It's such an expensive car, but also feels like an expensive car. I love this car.
Okay, so there's clearly nothing wrong with the interior, but what are the deal makers and deal breakers for the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo? There isn't a faster estate car than this on sale today, and the handling means it's so fun on a twisty road too. The Taycan feels like a truly luxurious product that is built to last. The extra space of the Cross Turismo makes this version of the Taycan much more suitable as a family car. You may save money on fuel, but that doesn't detract from the Cross Turismo's high starting price or the costs of the optional equipment.
With this Cross Turismo, what Porsche have done have basically fixed one of the very few weaknesses of the regular Taycan, namely practicality. It's just as fun to drive, you've got a lot more space in the back and in the boot. I mean, it's everything that we love about the regular saloon, but it's packaged in a much more family-sized car. It's a lot more comfortable as well. And cooler. Do you know what? If I was going to have an electric car now, I think I'd have a Porsche Taycan. And I think I'll have this one, this particular one. So you're definitely not witnessing a theft right now, but I'm just going to take it home. It's fine. I'm allowed.
Looking for a high-performance electric car? If so, check out our review of the Audi e-tron GT and our electric cars playlist. Thanks for watching.